Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. Please visit our website, cscatlanta.org, for a complete list of live and recorded events. We invite you to sign up for our newsletter to stay connected to all future programs.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Blair Avendano, and I'm the Oncology Clinical Nutrition Coordinator here at Northside. I get to oversee 22 oncology dietitians, and we cover approximately 58 clinics in the state of Georgia. So I'm just so glad to be here with you today. And today's presentation is going to be a little bit different for those of you who frequently attend. I'm not going to be talking as much about what to eat and what not to eat, although that will be a part of it. But this is going to be fairly behavioral based. I know a lot of us, myself included, January, we set our resolutions, we set some goals for the year, some things we want to accomplish by the end of December. A lot of people have health-based goals. Mine happen to be I want to hit a certain number of fiber grams and protein grams. I am a dietitian, so of course my goals would include something of that nature. And sometime throughout the presentation, if you want to put your goals in the chat box just for fun, we can look at them at the end. But today we are going to be talking about mindful eating and goal setting in the year 2025. So different questions that we'll answer today throughout the course of the presentation is what exactly is mindful eating? What are the benefits of mindful eating? Why should we even be doing it? How can we implement it? What are SMART goals? And how do we set goals that are achievable? We're going to start focusing on mindful eating. Prior to that, though, we're going to do a little exercise. So I want everybody to close their eyes, sit comfortably. Okay. And we're going to take 4 deep breaths. All right. So put one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Now take that first deep breath, normal breath, and exhale. Second deep breath. Imagine the air traveling all the way down to your navel. Exhale. Third deep breath. Imagine that air traveling all the way down to your knees. And the fourth deep breath. Imagine the air traveling all the way down to your toes. And exhale. Now think about and consider how that felt, what you noticed, what emotions you were feeling, what thoughts were going through your head. So that's called mindfulness. And it's just slowing down and being aware of your surroundings and how you're feeling. So mindfulness in and of itself is an intention on focusing on one's thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations at the present. But mindful eating is using all physical and emotional aspects of yourself to fully enjoy and experience food. So being mindful when we eat helps to increase gratitude, it discourages judgment, and it also avoids distractions. So mindful eating encompasses some of the following things. First, we want to be honoring the food. So acknowledge where that food was grown and maybe even who prepared the meal. We want to eat without distractions to help deepen the eating experience. We want to engage all 5 senses. Notice sounds, colors, smells, tastes, and textures of the food and how you feel during eating. Pause periodically to engage your senses. We want to serve our food in modest portions. So for those of us who are focusing on weight management, using primarily a 9-inch plate as opposed to larger plates can be helpful in monitoring for portion sizes. We want to slow down and eat slowly to avoid overeating. If you eat slowly, you're more likely to recognize when you're feeling satisfied. And also, when you're about 80% full, and we'll talk about that on the next slide, I believe, that's when you're going to want to stop eating. You don't want to wait until you're totally full and can't eat anymore to stop eating. Don't skip meals. Going too long without eating can increase the risk of strong hunger, which can lead to the quickest and easiest food choice. And a lot of times that's the ultra processed foods, high fat, high carbs. And so we don't want to do that. You want to try to plan ahead too, as well. And then also consider your health. So, eating a plant centric, plant based diet, for those of you who attend these seminars, we talk about that at about every session. And so trying to not eat quite as much of the processed meats and just processed foods in general. So, how does mindful eating help? First of all, it reduces the urge to binge. It has been used to help with anxiety and depression and other detrimental food behaviors as well. The benefits of mindful eating has been shown to assist with weight management and wellness. So we're going to break this down a little bit, but the four primary focuses of mindful eating is mindfulness of the body, your physical body, mindfulness of your feelings, so how you feel, mindfulness of the mind, so that's what you're thinking, and mindfulness of the way things are, and that is consists of your surroundings. So first we're going to focus on the body. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I actually hungry? So generally speaking, if you're feeling a little bit fatigued or your stomach's growling, then you probably are hungry. Those are what's called physical cues. Um, we all have different bodies. We all have different benefits, difficulties, and we all experience some similar and different sensations in regards to hunger. But it's really just stopping to ask yourself, am I actually physically hungry? So one tool that's helped a lot of my patients is called the hunger fullness scale, and it ranks hunger from a scale of 1 to 10. So if you've skipped a couple of meals, you're going to be on that 1 to 2 part of the scale. You're over hungry, you're weak. We call it hangry sometimes. You're very irritable, maybe not too fun to be around. A 9 or a 10, that's going to be Thanksgiving. That's going to be you are absolutely stuffed, very uncomfortable. Maybe you're unbuttoning the button to your pants, that kind of thing. Um, we want to always be in the 3 to 6 range. We want to start eating at about a 3. And so you're starting to have some of those physical symptoms that I mentioned. You're maybe having a slight growl in your stomach, maybe a little bit fatigued, ready to eat. And then the number 4 is I could eat. Those are the very first signs and symptoms of hunger. Number 5 is content, neither hungry nor full. Maybe you have a couple of extra bites. And then when you hit that 6 on a scale of 1 to 10, that you're comfortably full, you're satisfied, you're energetic, you don't feel the need to eat anymore. So emotions, that's acknowledging what are you feeling? And you can see all sorts of emotions in this particular picture. Emotions could be you feel shame, anxious, fearful, see happy, anger, frustrated, sad. So some questions to acknowledge emotions in eating is, am I enjoying this food in this moment? Is this moment helping me? Why am I eating? Am I stressed out? Am I sad? What would help me enjoy this moment more? And why am I making the choice that I'm making right now? So, when looking at acknowledging your emotions and feelings as reactions to food, try to keep it simple and non judgmental, which I know is not always easy. We never want to say good or bad. You can say, I feel pleasant or unpleasant, but we never want to have judgmental language when we're acknowledging our emotions and feelings. So this is what's called the stress eating cycle. So this is when we're using food to cope with eating. So in this case, you might have had a stressful situation with work. Maybe you've gotten an argument with a family member, and then you head to the kitchen, you start overeating. Generally speaking, we're going to be selecting those high sugar, fried, processed, comfort type foods, eating when not hungry. And then that next portion of the cycle, when we cope with food, is it could potentially lead to poor blood sugar control, which could, in essence, lead to prediabetes or diabetes. We could be uncomfortable. start to gain weight, start to feel more fatigued. And then that, in essence, creates feelings of guilt, embarrassment, helplessness, frustration. We get stressed out all over again, and thus the cycle continues. So, how do we break that cycle of stress eating? So, we feel stress. So, we're going to go ahead and use something other than food to cope with that stressful situation. So I have listed some examples here. Some people pray, journal, go on a walk, speak with a friend or mentor. Maybe you have a small group at church you get together with. Also, just making sure that you're planning ahead, consuming nutrient-rich foods, which can actually help with stress. But y'all's homework for tonight is to write down 5 activities that are not eating that you can be using to cope with stress this year. So that's your homework for tonight. So when we use these methods, what is that going to do to our bodies physically? It's going to do the opposite of what the previous slide said. So our blood pressure is actually going to go down instead of when we're consuming the high sodium foods and things of that nature, it's going to increase it. Our stress hormones are going to decrease. Our body's going to be nourished. We're going to have more energy, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to go ahead and create freedom, feelings of peace, maybe feeling more calm, grateful, joyful, just generally feeling healthy. And that's going to break that stress cycle. So we won't go on to that next stage, which is further stress. So next, this is how we use food. Sorry, somebody's knocking at my door. This is how we want to set up our plate, and this is going to help to prevent the binge eating. It's going to help us to stay more mindful with our eating. So it's getting about a 9-inch plate and drawing a line down the middle, filling half of that plate with fiber-rich fruits and vegetables, lots of different colors. About a fourth of that plate with whole grains, so your brown rice, wild rice, quinoa, or a starchy vegetable like a sweet potato, regular potato, or beans. Another fourth of that plate, you're going to put about 3 ounces of healthy protein or about the size of a deck of cards. So that could be something like salmon or chicken. Beans are unique in that they can go in that whole grain portion of the plate or the healthy protein. And then also including some healthy fats. So things like olive oil or cooking with avocado oil, avocado, nuts, seeds. So that's going to help keep you full, particularly with that fiber and that protein. And then making sure that you're drinking enough water and adequately hydrated, because when we're not adequately hydrated, that can lead to feelings of fatigue. And in turn, that may lead us to eat more when we should not. So this is a really good visual. I use this in a lot of presentations. It is just a way to set up your plate. And of course, you can blend all of the ingredients together. For example, if you wanted to make chicken spaghetti, you could do whole grain pasta, and then the chicken would be that healthy protein. Veggies, you could throw some broccoli, tomatoes, things like that in there, have a fruit of a source of sweetness afterwards. And so that's the way that you could mix up and still be following the healthy eating plate. And then this is another visual that we use quite frequently. It's from the American Institute of Cancer Research, and it's called the New American Plate. And it's even more simple. It just says about a third or less of your plate should be animal protein. And of course, focusing on things like chicken, fish, turkey, tuna, that kind of thing, as opposed to a lot of higher fat meats. We want to try to avoid as much as possible processed meats and limit our red meat intake to about 12 to 18 ounces a week per the American Institute of Cancer Research. And then also you'll see those high fiber foods listed here, which are going to help you feel full and then also provide a lot of nutrients. So they have it's a vegetable medley with zucchini and squash, as well as broccoli and some brown rice. So next we're going to switch to what am I thinking? So what is on your mind? Our minds are flexible, they can shift very quickly, and we can get easily distracted. So while we're typically aware of multiple things at once, we can choose to bring awareness to one thing at a time if we so choose to do so. So flavors, textures, colors, taste, the appearance of food, and where food comes from are things that we can be thinking about while we're eating. And then lastly, the way things are. So as I referred to earlier, that's going to be your environment. And so as you'll see, these three environments are quite different. Um, and I don't know where you would feel most comfortable. The first one looks like a maybe a family's going to be sitting down to dinner. The second one looks a little bit busy with the bright colors, kind of you'd be squished together with your friends. And be thinking about could that potentially contribute to stress? And then the third with Queen Elizabeth looks quiet and peaceful. So some tips for decreasing distractions while you eat is to eat in only one place at home. So go ahead and designate a spot at home where you eat and then one place at work, preferably not your desk. I am incredibly guilty of this. We get very busy and it's so easy to eat at your desk. But in efforts to avoid distractions like answering emails or texting and that kind of thing, put turn off screens, put them aside, and only eat at that one place at home or at work. So not standing and eating in the kitchen either. Again, turning off any types of distractions, so your TV, your talk radio, your phone. Close your eyes, pause, notice the taste, smell, and feel of your food. And then if you are noticing any distressing thoughts, go ahead and journal them and write them down prior to sitting down. And then just you've let them out and you can set them aside. So it's can be challenging to mindfully eat when you're going out with others. And so some tips for successfully eating out with others and continuing to be mindful is again just noticing your surroundings, being aware of your feelings, being aware of the atmosphere. Is it crowded or are you feeling stressed out? Is it loud? Or are you feeling peaceful? Also ordering first so that you won't be pressured by others to order a certain dish or a certain type of food. You set the pace. So others tend to match the pace of those around them. And so if you're slowing down, if you're putting down your fork in between bites, you'll notice others mimic and do the same. Avoiding negative talk about bodies, food choices, and also limiting stressful conversation topics. So while you're eating is probably not the best time to talk about politics, the state of the world, or you fill in the blank, any other type of stressful conversation. So, some practical action steps that you can take for mindful eating is you really want to take, it says 30 minutes to eat a meal here, but at least 20. And I would challenge y'all to time your meals. And you'll notice about the average time frame that people take to eat their meals, believe it or not, is around 7 minutes. And it takes your brain longer to send a signal down to your stomach that it's full than 7 minutes. So trying to start with 20 minutes to try to eat a meal and then eventually get that up to 30 minutes per meal. Chewing 15 to 20 times per bite, putting down your utensil between each bite, and that can really help you slow things down. Naming three textures and three flavors when you eat. So every food, do this with every food on your plate, three textures and three flavors. Respecting and acknowledging those hunger fullness cues. So again, implementing that hunger fullness scale and assigning your hunger rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Keeping a thoughts and moods journal and writing it before meals. And you can do this anytime, but this recommends specifically before meals. Name two things your body feels after you eat different foods. And then using that non-judgmental language for your food and feelings like pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral as opposed to good and bad. And then putting away those screens at mealtime. So now we're going to shift gears and talk about goal setting. So the definition of a goal is the end toward which effort is directed. So it's going to be the aim or the purpose of what you're trying to do. And goal setting is the process of identifying something that you'd like to accomplish and establishing measurable goals and timeframes. So we're going to be developing an action plan. So take a minute to just think about the following. What is a goal that you accomplished this past year? So something that you set out to do in January of 2024 and were able to accomplish it at some point this past year. Now, why was that goal important to you? And lastly, what steps did you take that helped you to be successful in achieving or reaching that goal? So, why do we even set goals? It's because people who set realistic and achievable goals are more likely to achieve behavioral change than those who don't. And they're just a roadmap to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And you're much more likely to take action when you set your own goals and develop your own action steps. So it's your plan. So in defining goals, that's the first step that you want to do once you've identified something that you want to accomplish. And just an easy method and acronym that you can use in setting your goals is making them SMART. So that's going to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And we'll break that down. So SMART goals, the S stands for specific goals. And we want them to be specific because they're much easier to achieve and they're much more motivating. And we want to be as detailed as possible, including what you want to achieve and that time frame in which you want to achieve it in, and include other people that might be involved. And so an example of something we don't want to do in being specific is just saying, I want to eat better. And I actually had this conversation with my husband the other night because I asked him what his resolution for 2025 is, and he said, I want to lose weight. So I said, nope, not specific. And we had to talk about SMART goals. So it was a good conversation. So instead of saying, I want to eat better, can say something like, I will pack my lunch 5 days per week and pack fruit each time instead of chips for my afternoon snack. So measurable, it's just what metric are you using to measure your goals and how are you going to know whether or not you achieved it? So in this example, did you pack your lunch? Yes or no? Did you pack fruit instead of chips? And how many times have you done so this week? Yes or no? So you know if you packed your lunch 3 times this week, you did not quite meet that goal, you get it. Other considerations, the types of questions you'll want to be asking is how much, how many, and how will I know when it's been accomplished? So the A stands for attainable. So go ahead and consider any barriers that could prevent you from reaching your goal. Is your goal realistic and achievable, or do you need to modify it? You ask yourself, how can I accomplish this goal? So the example given here is someone that's brand new for running probably would not want to set a goal for running a marathon that next month. So a more attainable goal would be maybe downloading the Couch to 5K app and just participating in a 5K race after 2 months. So relevant goal. Does it even matter to you and is it for you? Does it seem worthwhile to put in the time to do so? And is now the right time? If you're having an incredibly busy season right now, it's probably not the time to train for a marathon. Or if the weather's really bad, and it might be better to wait till the summer. And then time-based goals, it should be grounded within a time frame. Having a deadline can help create urgency, keeps you accountable. Setting a target date for your goal to be complete. And if it's a long-term goal, just so you don't get tired of it, making sure to set milestones and check-in times. So if your goal is to lose 20 pounds in 6 months, you may want to break it down to, I want to lose 4 pounds this month, just to make it a little bit less daunting and a little bit more achievable. So here's some good samples of goals. Exercise a certain amount of days per week for at least a certain amount of minutes. Eating at least, we'll say 3 servings of fruits and vegetables at least 5 days a week. Packing a lunch 5 days a week. Limiting sodas to 1 day a week. Keeping a full food record for a full week. Increasing your vegetable intake for 1 serving a day to 2 servings a day or vegetables per day this week. or varying your vegetable intake instead of eating the same ones. You're going to say you'll try one new vegetable for every week this year. Limiting sweets to a certain amount of times a week, participating in dry January, which I know a lot of people are doing right now, or not consuming any alcohol this month, drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, creating a meal plan every Monday for a month, or going to a Zumba class being offered, say, once a week. Replacing refined greens with whole grain options every Monday, a meatless Monday, walking at least 10,000 steps per day, or increasing your weights at the gym from 5 to 8 pounds in 2 weeks. So setting yourself up for success, don't have like 10 different goals that you're wanting to change at the same time. Start with small changes, add more as you want to achieve your goals and start to develop habits. You can manage your goals with a daily to-do list of your action items, and you can mark them off once you've completed it. It always feels good to cross things off your to-do list. Review those goals weekly and check off completed goals. You can add or measure your progress toward goals and then adjust toward needed. If you're finding that those goals are not fitting into the SMART category, if they're not attainable, if you're having difficult with the time frame, you can always modify, and there is nothing wrong with that. So staying accountable, have it down on paper, make a spreadsheet, just make sure that you're documenting those goals and action plans. And then have an accountability partner or group. So make sure to share those goals and plans with somebody who will support you. Create an accountability challenge with others working on the same goals. So you could potentially set up, times to walk every day. If you and a friend are both trying to reach 10,000 steps a day, you can say who can reach 100,000 the fastest. That's always motivating when you're competing against someone. And tracking your goals and progress. And then making sure to celebrate yourself. And this can be another homework assignment for try to think of 3 to 5 ways to reward yourself that are not food focused for achieving a goal. You can do a massage, fresh flowers, a new workout outfit, new running shoes, a vacation, a new water bottle. It's going to be different based on what's motivating for you, but definitely reward yourself in a healthy manner.
Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. If you're interested in other live or recorded programs, please visit the online program tab of our website, cscatlanta.org, or follow us on Facebook. We'll be sharing additional information on upcoming programs.